an utter disaster. It was crazy.
Worse than test round with Vanagon.
Yeah, worse than the test round with engine blew in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Of all places. We're 300 miles away.
The engine blew in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, like the camshaft was done for. Shards of metal all over.
Oh my god.
We got the Rocky Mountain Westie swing away arms for the van. We did a lot of research on what to do or which ones to use, because Go Westie sells some and Rocky Mountain Westie sells these. And the primary reason we went with the Rocky Mountain Westie ones is, one, we really like how these look. I mean, I think they look kind of mean. But also, and more importantly, you can put up to 300 pounds on one of these with no problem. And why that's important, because inside here we keep a 2,000 watt generator to help power us when we're off the grid for long periods of time. We have all our tools, any spare parts, recovery gear, all inside of this aluminous box, as well as 4 gallons of fuel and 2 gallons of water, our recovery tracks, and Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that he's back there.
And also just to give you a view of what this looks like.
Things are gonna fall out.
Hopefully nothing falls out.
Yeah, here we go.
So, but you've got a large lower compartment. You can get these customized with our generator, and then, like he said, tools and all that other stuff. But just to give you an idea of what that looks like.
If you ever because you've got an Overland vehicle, take it to Extreme Vehicle Builders in Danbury, Connecticut. Those guys are amazing.
So in the end,
$20,000 later.
Wow.
$20,000 later, it's got a new engine. The entire suspension has been rebuilt. The frame was literally falling apart. We didn't know how to tell this because we don't know these things.
Yeah.
That's not our. They showed us the parts of this RV and how bent they were, and they couldn't believe that we had made it as far as we did without the steering wheel coming off.
Another key upgrade, and while we're back here that we want to talk about, is the stock Vanagon engine comes with 90 horsepower. It's a 2.1 liter water cooled motor.
that was
That's
in the 80s.
in
It came with
80s and in the early 90s. It was 90 horsepower. We carry around 6,500 pounds in here, and 90 horsepower just doesn't cut it. So we put a 2.5 liter Subaru that puts out 175 horses, I think, or 170, and it's really changed how fast we can go on the highway. Traveling is not about, or what we do is not about going fast, but it's about but it is nice to be able to get up to highway speeds when we're merging, as well as be able to go up mountain passes faster than 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, because it was becoming a safety issue when we were first on the road and first traveling in the Rockies in this thing. We were on the interstate and not able to go above really 25 miles an hour. So
Uphill.
I could have died. But also tear-inducing, because when he showed me the bill for $20,000, I was like, this has gotten way out of control, because living on the road is supposed to be cheaper than the rent that we were paying, and so far it has absolutely ballooned out of control. We may as well have kept the house in Austin and not done all this nonsense. Anyways, we drive this RV back to Austin. We shake hands. We're selling the van. We're selling the van when we get back, because we got to recoup our losses.
Yep.
For $7,000, because this, the vans are going for so much more now.
Yep.
We get back to Austin and we see the van, and instantly we're like, we are not selling it.
We embraced Falkor, literally.
Yeah, we hugged him. We were like, we're so happy to see you. You're so incredible. Why did we ever leave you?
We have an ARB awning. It's the largest one. I don't remember what version it is. I mean, it says ARB Touring. I don't know if that helps you with the style, but it's the more expensive one. It was around $350. It's great. I mean, the competitor ones like the Fiamma awnings are $1,000, and this one, even though it's not as convenient to open as a Fiamma, it's still really, really simple. And we use this almost every time we camp somewhere. We know we're going to be somewhere for 2 days or more. We'll pull it out.
You know what? Screw it. We're not going to take on any contracts. We're going to take Falkor. We'll leave the Airstream here in storage, and let's see if we can do it in the van.
Let's see if we can make it work in the van. Because we were like, F New York City, maybe that's not the right way. That's not the right test. Like, can this van thing work for us?
Yeah.
So for the next 2 months, we're going to do a Continental Divide trip in the van. Let's see if it works. And it was magic, man.
Yeah.
It was just perfect.
So we
Like,
spent the summer in Wyoming and Montana and
Colorado, New Mexico.
it was great.
The van was everything, you know. We had issues, and
Sure.
you can go back on our Instagram feed and see, like, our fuel lines completely deteriorated. You know,
we had a lot of issues on
we
that
had a
trip.
lot of issues, and the rims that we bought were 16s, and our springs, like, we were so loaded down that anytime we turned, like, the tires would scrape the wheel wells,
Yeah.
and we were loaded down again with this stock motor, and we could barely break 50 miles an hour straight, you know, and going
At
up
top.
yeah,
Loaded down.
yeah.
And we were in the Rockies, you know, so it was
Right.
Going uphill was like literally
Right.
20 miles an hour, literally on I-70 in Colorado going, you know, we were in the emergency lane with the blinkers on and everything. But it was magic, man. Like, you can't, even though the Airstream was this cool, goofy,
one of a kind.
one-of-a-kind vehicle, literally, you know,
Yeah.
it looked like an astronaut on 4 wheels. There was just nothing like being in that van again. Even though I didn't have a shower, or we didn't have a shower, we didn't have a toilet, whatever. It didn't matter.
We started figuring out how to make it work.
Yeah,
And
we would drive, and we'd see a forest road, and we'd get off on the forest road.
Yep.
And the first thing that she'd say to me, or I'd say to her, is, if we were in the Airstream, we couldn't do this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
period. Like,
Period. You can't get it. You can't get it on those forest roads.
yeah.
Yep.
So now we're into the interior of the van, which is kind of a little more my domain. So what we have here, we just got these custom cabinets done. When we first bought the van, it was a 7-passenger. So all that was in here was some nasty old carpet and 2 bench seats. And so one of the first things we did was remove all those interior components, clean it out, and then we found an old burnout Westie interior that we're able to salvage the interior from. But we have a gray and white van, and that interior was brown. So that's something that always bothered us the whole time. It was about, I guess, a little over a year that we had that and that set up. So that was just the standard Westie interior with a wardrobe closet and some compartments. And we had, they come with a fridge, but we got this fridge instead. And they had a 2-burner stove and a sink, but we didn't really have any of that stuff functioning. So it was important to us, after being on the road for over a year, that we kind of make the space more functional for us. So by the end of that kind of 2-month test trip, or so to speak,
After the new springs are put in, we're like, let's do it.
yeah, that's when we decided to commit. So that was around August, and so
Let's do the van full time. Let's put a high top on it.
we'll sell the Airstream.
Yep.
Let's put a Subaru motor in it. Let's do the whole thing, and we'll sell the Airstream for what we think we can get out of it, and to help pay for our upgrades. And ever since then, man, it's been just the most amazing love affair with this van. Every time I see him, I'm just in love with it. It may be vain or like braggadocious or whatever, but our van is, to me, the coolest goddamn van, like, on the road, period. I don't care. Anything else that I see, I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have, you know, these bumpers.
This.
Or, like, I bet you it doesn't squeak when it hits the bump just this way. Or whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's like, that is our van, and we absolutely love it.
We were making do with using water bottles and brushing our teeth outside the van, and using the road shower to wash dishes and stuff, but it's still just not quite as convenient as we would like it to be. So a couple of months ago, we got in touch with a guy named Lewis of Rhino Design in Sacramento, California, and started talking to him about customizing an interior for us. So so now what we did, when we first got the van and we did that whole interior conversion, the area that was a fridge in the old Westie interior, we removed the fridge and we turned it into dry storage. And we had a big Yeti cooler where this camera case is. And that was a huge pain in the ass, and it was they're expensive coolers. It's about $350 for the size that we had. And so we eventually, several months later, decided to try out the truck fridge, and that's really one of the best upgrades we've done, because these are only $500. I think it's a TL50.
TF49.
TF49. TF for truck fridge, 49 model, and it is awesome. This one just runs on straight electricity, but it takes very little to keep it running. So we upgraded to this fridge, and then now we have our full interior built out. So it's recessed for clean lines in here. But when you lift that up, you have a 2-burner stove and a nice sized sink. I was actually really happy with the size of the sink, and some sort of European faucet there. It's super smart. It lays down.
Right.
Let me ask you. I'll ask you the best and hardest part about being on the road. What's the hardest part about being on the road, do you think? Long term.
For me personally, I would say the best and the worst are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the way, like I mentioned in our conversation earlier, the way it puts things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the best thing about it. You learn so much about yourself, about your relationship with whoever you're with. In lots of good ways, but in also really difficult ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's difficult being with just one person all the time,
Mm-hmm.
24/7. But it's also wonderful because you share so many things together that you don't experience in any other way of living together. So for me, that's kind of the best and the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. It's hard on yourself, and it's hard on your relationships, but if you can push through it, you get so much out of it. So.
Cool. What about you, Jorge?
For me, the best thing, I really enjoy driving long distances because, a lot of people listen to music. I like it quiet, just silent. I just want to hear the engine. I just want to watch the lines on the road just pass by me, and I just think about stuff constantly. And we'll have conversations, right?
And we listen to music and stuff.
Yeah, but more often than not, it's quiet in the van, and that for me is probably the best part of this are those long hauls where it's just you and the road and the steering wheel, and it's just quiet. I love that. The worst part of it is, I think, a lot of people make this sort of big deal about the simple life, or it's a simple thing. There's really nothing terribly simple and romantic about this. Like, it seems like it from the outside looking in, and you look at people's Instagrams and people's photos and the places that they go to, and it's like, oh, how wonderful and beautiful that all. Yeah, that's cool, but this is really hard, and it gets really lonely, being on your own for so long, and not having, the van is home, but it's not home, if that makes sense. It's not, like, you're not anchored anywhere, and it would be nice to have an anchor.
Yep.
Which we haven't had in a very, very long time. And for us, that, I think, for me specifically, that's the hardest thing, is not having that place to go back to that you can really call home. But obviously that's not the hardest thing for her, but we kind of agree on that as far as it's not
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like we're constantly searching. So, and then we decided to we have what are they called again? Rotopacks on the back holding gas and water, but we decided to bring one of those in here and slip it behind the driver's seat, and that's how we supply our sink. And we use a foot pump so that we didn't have to have another thing in here that was drawing power from the auxiliary batteries, so we just use the foot pump to access the water. And then with this new interior, we doubled the standard wardrobe size, so we have a wardrobe and storage here, and then back here we have 3 shelves of storage. So it's super, super convenient. This here is a bed that lays down. It's called a Z-bed for the Vanagons. And just going off of storage, we have storage down here as well. So we keep our dog food and extra books and a couple of other things down here.
And our inverter.
And our inverter is stored down there. And just to show you kind of how easy this functions, our bed just lays down like this. We have a mattress topper to make it a little more comfortable. Pull that out, and voila, you have a bed. So all that's super convenient to start and end the day. And one upgrade we haven't mentioned yet that's major is the high top. So when we got the van, it was just like we said, a 10 top, which means it was a flat top. There was no Westphalia pop top or anything like that on it. So around the time we were upgrading the engine last year, we decided to upgrade to the high top roof so that Jorge could stand and change and do all sorts of other things inside that he wasn't able to before. So we have an incredible amount of storage up here. This is where Jorge keeps clothes. And we have some other storage stuff for camping and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's it's like a Cadillac trunk up there with the storage, which is quite a bit. And then up here on the other side, this panel here will slide out and create a bed if you need to, but we just decided after sleeping up here for a couple of months that it was just a little too claustrophobic for us, and it's an incredible storage space. So we have a basket for dirty clothes, and we store extra camera gear and a couple of other stuff up there. So that was this was definitely a life-changing decision to go with the high top roof. It just opens up the space, and no matter where we are, if we're parked in San Francisco or New York, or if we're out on a forest road, we're able to sleep and live comfortably in it.
I would say it's getting easier and easier. Like I said, like we learn stuff as we go, and you learn things from other people, where to get showers, where to do the restroom, and stuff like that.
And I have become very comfortable with crapping in Walmart, Target,
Sure.
Chevron.
Yeah.
Which
is a big deal for him.
It's a big deal because that was like one of the things that I was most scared of when this whole thing started. I was like, where will I poop?
For me, I'm like,
I need a
I'll go anywhere.
I need a safe place. It's gotta be quiet. Have the right magazines.
Double lock on the door.
Can't be too tall. The toilet can't be too tall. It can't be too short. But yeah, I've learned to.
So this was originally supposed to be a pantry, but ended up working out for clothing storage for me, and because I have different, dudes, you guys just all have typically, some pants and a selection of shirts that are all interchangeable. I don't mean to be mean, but I think that's typically what I've experienced around guys, where I have my stuff separated a little bit more, particularly and color coded. So like, certain short sleeve or tankless things or sleeveless things are in a certain color and size, and pants are in another, underwear in another. So it really helps keep things organized and from becoming a disaster in here, because in such a small space and we live in here full time, things can get out of hand so quickly. So little things like that help.
Yeah.
But so a few weeks ago we went down the east side on 395, and then when we were curling around to go back up the west side and go to Sequoia, that's when we hit Sequoia National Forest down there, and it was just like, it was magical. It was beautiful.
It's like, let's go down this road. Let's go down this road. Like when I was saying earlier, like we hate the whole, we got to go in stealth camp and find a parking spot.
Yep.
I enjoy the exploring of forest roads to find that one perfect camp spot that's gonna have like the right light hit it in the morning, and it's gonna like have this cool view, and God, I just want to wake. Just that.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.